Hi everyone, here I briefly wanted to talk about the New Year's speeches of Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor. As a baseline, I wanted to look at the one from end of 2014 before talking about the latest one from end of 2018.
Liebe Mitbürgerinnen und Mitbürger, 2014 wird als ein Jahr in Erinnerung bleiben, das anders verlaufen ist, als wir uns das zu Silvester vor einem Jahr vorstellen konnten.
Okay, just a few things. I notice she's smiling a bit here and there, considering that she's Angela Merkel. She moves her hands and she tilts her head. So these are common illustrators to emphasize what one is saying. Also the eyebrows go up once in a while for emphasizing things. Overall, her posture is very narrow and she doesn't have these big hand movements, but that's how she is. That's her baseline. Also in comparison to the next video, we see that her hair is very smooth and shiny. And this is the first impression she gives.
Es war das Jahr, in dem wir in Europa in lange nicht gekannter Härte erfahren haben, was es bedeutet, wenn Grundlagen unserer europäischen Friedensordnung in Frage gestellt werden.
Okay, so it's in German obviously, but she basically talks about the topics from 2014, in the crisis in the Ukraine with Russia, the Ebola virus. She talks about IS in Syria and North Iraq. And then she also talks about the migrants already. She anticipates already many to come. So she talks about the benefits of the migrants, and it's a very one-sided outlook. So these are just a few of the topics she talks about in this little speech. So let's look at the one from end of last year, just from 2 weeks ago. And before I even play it, we see already there are some differences. So first of all, she gained some weight. Obviously, that's 4 years later. She gained some weight around her neck area. But then we also notice her hair is more streaky. So she might be sweating. She might be somewhat uncomfortable. What we also see are these indentations at her temples. So these are typical signs of someone who is obsessed with certain things. It might even, in extreme cases, indicate addiction. It might also indicate marriage problems. Here I would say it's potentially stress-related and an indicator for obsessive behavior. So her party, the Christian Democrats, have moved extremely left over the last few years and are almost now identical to the left, the Greens and the Social Democrats. And the big conservative middle has been abandoned and it's put in the same bucket as the far-right neo-Nazis and all this stuff. So there's this big divide now in Germany, and that has been apparently very stressful for her. So we can see that in her face. Let's listen to her a little bit.
Ich denke heute Abend vor allem an das überaus schwierige politische Jahr, das heute zu Ende geht.
So here she still smiles a little bit and she uses her illustrators.
Ich weiß, viele von Ihnen haben sehr mit der Bundesregierung gehadert. Erst haben wir lange gebraucht, um überhaupt eine Regierung zu bilden.
So she talks about that it took already long to build the government after the last election. So far she's doing pretty well
Und als wir sie
in this video.
Da gab es Streit und viel Beschäftigung mit uns selbst. Es ist mein Verständnis als Bundeskanzlerin, dass unsere Demokratie von der mehrheitlich getragenen Übereinkunft lebt, dass ihre Staatsdiener alles...
Of course, some of you don't know what she's saying now because she speaks in German, but of course for body language and facial expression we don't necessarily have to understand what the words are. We can read her anyway.
Dass sie sich immer wieder prüfen, was sie auch ganz persönlich dazu beitragen können. Das habe ich getan. Und zwar
so now here her voice was becoming very weak. So she talked about that the government has to scrutinize its own work and to keep up the high standards. So she says she did all that, but her voice was cracking at this moment.
Auch unabhängig davon, wie unbefriedigend das vergangene Jahr war.
Of course, she's reading the stuff from the teleprompter, but she's having this critical look as well. So she's acting a little bit when she talks about the critical assessment. She squints her eyes together, which is fine. I mean, she's not a TED Talk person. She's just Angela Merkel.
Weil ganz grundsätzlich 13 Jahre
Now she talks about her 13 years as a chancellor and she's smiling.
Bundeskanzlerin dafür allemal Grund genug sind.
When I pause the video, somehow I see her a lot closing her eyes. So that's an indication of fatigue. So she seems stressed now compared to 4 years ago.
So habe ich Ende Oktober einen Neubeginn eingeleitet.
So she now talks about her announcement in October that she won't have any major political roles anymore, that she will step down as the head of her party, and that's what she did.
Und gesagt, dass ich nach Ende dieser Legislaturperiode keine politischen Ämter mehr ausüben werde. Die Demokratie lebt vom Wechsel.
So democracy lives of change.
Und wir alle stehen in der Zeit. Wir bauen auf dem auf, was unsere Vorgänger uns überlassen haben.
So we're building on what the predecessors left us and we pass on what we did to the next ones.
Und gestalten in der Gegenwart für die, die nach uns kommen.
So now when she talks about the future and her stepping down, not necessarily as a chancellor, but she has his eyes wide open. So this is her outlook for the future. Opening the eyes very wide is a sign of fear. So something is terrifying her. One possibility is that once she steps down and people judge her on what she accomplished, there's a potential that judgment might not go down well with her. And that has to do with the open border politics and the state Germany is in. She might have received threats as well, and she might fear the judgment of the people once she left the office.
Leitet mich die Überzeugung, die Herausforderungen unserer Zeit werden wir nur meistern, wenn wir...
So now she's breathing very heavily, and again she has these eyes wide open. So that's fear.
Zusammenhalten und mit anderen über Grenzen hinweg zusammenarbeiten.
Again, fear and fatigue.
Geradezu sinnbildlich dafür sind für mich die Bilder.
And now she talks about the astronaut and the pictures from space about the drought in Germany and that we all have to deal with global warming across borders and so on. We can really see this huge difference from 2014 before the migrant crisis and 2018 after it. How she moved the country towards the far left as a conservative party will not go down very well in history. And she fears the judgment of the people and the historians once she leaves politics. So everything is written in her face. Okay, this was very Germany specific and a lot of people probably don't find this interesting, but nevertheless, I wanted to do this video. Okay, hope you liked it and talk to you next time. Bye.